This episode is brought to you by Google Gemini. With the Gemini app, you can talk live and have a real-time conversation with an AI assistant. It's great for all kinds of things, like if you want to practice for an upcoming interview, ask for advice on things to do in a new city, or brainstorm creative ideas. And by the way, this script was actually read by Gemini. Download the Gemini app for iOS and Android today. Must be 18 plus to use Gemini Live.
If your roof starts to leak or your floor's really squeak, you live in a money pit. Money pit.
If your basement needs a pump or your place looks like a dump, you live in a money pit.
Money pit.
Pick up the telephone, fix up your home sweet home by calling 888 Money Pit.
The Money Pit is presented by Super Flapper by Fluid Master. Now, here are Tom and Leslie.
Coast to coast and floorboards to shingles, this is the Money Pit Home Improvement Show. I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti.
Happy holidays, everybody. Are you guys ready for the new year? You got some plans for the new year? You got some home improvement plans, some project plans, some repair plans, some decorating plans? We could help you with those plans when you reach out to us with those questions. You can do so at moneypit.com/ask. Click the blue microphone button and record your question to us. Coming up on today's show, are you getting ready to refresh your home with some new decor in the new year? Maybe you're not sure if your budget is ready for those expenses. Well, we're going to share 5 ways to save lots of money decorating your home sweet home.
And are outside noises disturbing your sleep or your work? Well, you can minimize those sounds, whether it's traffic noise, the train, noisy neighbors, or just loud plumbing. We're going to have tips to help you get back your peace and quiet.
And if you have a wood-burning fireplace or a stove, you know that gathering and chopping firewood is tough work. Well, all that hard work can be undone very easily if you're not storing the wood properly before you toss it in the fireplace. We'll tell you what you need to know.
But first, we want to help you create your best home ever. So whether you are doing that job yourself or you're hiring a pro, we're ready to help you get that job done right.
So reach out to us right now at 1-888-MONEYPIT. If you do, you might just win yourself a copy of my brand new book, Home Maintenance for Dummies. We're going to give out a copy to one caller drawn at random. So make that you. The number here is 1-888-MONEYPIT. That's 888-666-3974. Let's get started. Leslie, who's first?
We've got Rita on the line from Arkansas who's looking to put in a metal roof. How can we help you?
The contractors that I talked to, they seem to have really sour attitudes, and that's the nicest word I could put it.
What do they seem to be so miserable about?
They get offended that I ask questions like, what are the measurements of my roof? And they want me to sign paperwork as soon as they show up.
Yeah.
Things like that. I want to know a streamlined way to get estimates.
So one thing that you can do is you can use a service called Angie, A-N-G-I. And so if you go online, Angie.com, A-N-G-I.com, and then you put in what you're looking for. So in this case, you're looking for a roofer to install a metal roof, and they may ask you a couple of questions. And then what happens is Angie then sends your information out to a limited number of contractors in your area that have already identified themselves as doing this sort of work. So you're only going to hear from those that are most qualified and most interested in your project, because they actually are paying for the leads to get your contact information. It's an advertising expense for them. So then when they show up, they're totally prepared to do a proper estimate and don't expect you to sign something on the dotted line right there. You know, if they're trying to push you to get you to hire them without you having a chance to think about it, that's a bad sign right there. And I would go no further with someone that did that to me. A friend of mine the other day had to get an estimate for windows, and it was 9 windows, and the estimate was $35,000, which was ridiculous. But secondly, the guy goes, well, if you can decide in the next 20 minutes, it goes down to $26,000. I mean, are you kidding me? So she basically tossed him out of the house with a few choice words to boot. But anybody that tries to push you like that is just bad business. So I would not lose any sleep over that. I would just not work with them at all. But I think if you try Angie, you'll get an entirely different result.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you know what, Rita? There's other people reviewing that contractor, letting you know how they were to work with, if their prices were fair, what the project was like, the end result. So there's like a community that you can kind of compare things with right there to get a better sense.
Thank you.
Heading out to Connecticut, where we've got George on the line, who's got a concrete paver project. How can we help?
I have some pavers that I'm going to be putting down in the backyard, and I know that they'll migrate and separate if you don't lock them in. And I was wondering, I know the professionals use mortar mix or cement, and they dig down around them and they put a row of or a line of cement down. Is that a good way of doing it? And if so, how deep would you go with the cement, and how wide would the trench be to lock those pavers in?
So typically, you will be building that pad for the pavers, probably at least, I'd say, at least 8 inches wider than what you're going to need, so that you have a little bit of an area where you can lay in some concrete on sort of a 45-degree angle and sort of support that outside lip of those pavers. Or, you know, there are products that are basically border edging products that are flexible, that you can essentially wind around that brick edge, and then you attach them down by stakes, and you won't have to do the concrete as well. It's a lot neater way to go. That also has the advantage of being able to be disassembled if you ever have to kind of work on that paver edge, or you want to expand the patio or something of that nature. So take a look at the paver patio edging. You'll find it at home centers. You'll find it on Amazon. People have very good success with it, and I think that's definitely an option. But in any event, you need to prep that base a lot wider than what you think you're going to need, because when you make, so let's say you're going to do a 4-foot wide walkway, and you only prep or with compressed soil and sand and stone a 4-foot wide section, well, that's not going to work because the edge is going to collapse. So you got to go wider than what you want the finished pavers to do. The grass will grow over that area that you've compressed underneath the pavers, but if you don't make it a little bit wider than what you need, you will find that edge is going to turn a lot quicker.
That sounds like a winner.
All right. Well, good luck with that project. If you start it now, it'll be ready for spring, right?
That's right. Thank you.
Hey, you want to make our day? Well, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll be jumping for joy. Plus, you guys, your feedback helps us make the show even better for you. Just go to moneypit.com/review. We've got Laurie in New Jersey on the line, who's dealing with a very greasy garage floor. What's going on over there?
I have a question about my daughter. She just bought a home in Bricktown, and she has a garage floor that is coated probably about 1/4 of an inch thick with oil and grease, probably from changing, the oil in the car. So anyway, we were wondering how to deal with that and what would be the best way to, get that oil or grease up, or can it just be covered over with something?
So, Laurie, I think that an epoxy floor finish product would be really good in this situation. You do have to clean the floor, and that's going to be done by pressure washing it. You can use a TSP solution that will help you loosen up some of that old oil that's in there. And also, if you use a product like a garage floor refinishing kit, I actually am working right now with a product from Dice Coatings called Die Hard 100. It's designed to be a garage floor kit. I'm actually using it in a basement for the same reason. And it's a 2-part epoxy that you mix up and then you pour on, and it has sort of a color flake in it, so it sort of hides the dirt once it's hardened. But before you get there, you really need to clean this floor very well. You can do that with a pressure washer. Also, there's a concrete etcher that you can use that the Dice Coatings company also sells. And in your case, since it sounds like it's so thick and so persistent, you're going to really want to spend a lot of time cleaning this floor and then making sure that it's dried very, very well. You can't wash it on Saturday and put the floor down on Sunday. You got to let that water evaporate out. So plan accordingly, and I think you will have a very beautiful garage floor for what sounds like the first time ever in the life of this home.
Learn from the world's best all in one place with Masterclass, the only streaming platform where you can learn and grow with over 200 of the world's best. Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. Head over to masterclass.com/Spotify for the current offer. That's up to 50% off at masterclass.com/Spotify.
Brian is joining us with an issue going on in the bathroom every time he takes a shower. All right, what's going on?
Every time I get a shower, I have condensation running down the walls, and I have to wipe the walls with a towel. Do I need to change the fan, or is there another problem?
Now, I think what you're seeing there is just sort of the condensation from the hot, moist air of the shower touching the colder wall in the bathroom space. And that's more of an exhaust fan issue. I don't think you're moving out that moist air. I don't think this is anything more than that. Yes, you may have to dry out the walls until you correct the situation, like with the towel, but changing out the vent fan to something more powerful, opening the window and putting on the vent fan. I mean, you have to move that moist air out to correct this issue.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got high humidity in the bathroom because you're not venting it, of course it's going to condense on the walls as well as the bath walls, but also as well as the shower walls and the tub walls, but also just the drywall in the bathroom and in the ceiling. So you've got to move that humidity out there. Having an effective fan is important. Having that set up on an humidistat. See, we're just accustomed to taking a shower, leaving the room, even if we have a fan, and turn the fan off. That fan's actually got to run for a bit after you leave that bathroom in order to totally move the moisture out. Just make sure that when you discharge it, it's actually discharging out of the house, not just in the attic, but actually going out of the house. And a good way to make sure that's happening, if you do see an exhaust duct on the outside, turn the fan on, go look at it. It should have a flapper that actually moves to the open position. Well, one of the most exciting things about owning a new home is decorating it. But if you rush into decorating, go ahead and buy lots of furniture, that can mean making choices that you might later regret. Instead, think ahead and come up with a plan.
Yeah, so here are some ways that you can stick to a reasonable budget and maybe even save some money. Think about spreading out those expensive purchases. Now, if you're buying a number of those high-ticket items like a couch and a bed and a big TV and all kinds of stuff, don't buy them all at once. Make a list of the things that you need to buy and then prioritize how you buy them. You also want to avoid trendy design choices that are, most likely going to just go out of style. So before you plunk down all that money on that crazy pattern on that couch, think about whether or not you're going to like it in 5 years or so, or, what you think the lastability is there. Maybe if it's a crazy pattern, get a pillow or two in that fabric just to kind of have that, obsession with that fabric. You also want to splurge on the essentials because classic pieces, those are the ones that are worth investing in. You can always cover the trends again with those less expensive home accents. Now, if you've got a statement piece, maybe it's an awesome rug or a piece of artwork or a really cool piece of furniture, whatever it is, let that be the focal point of your design and build around that. Another great way to save some money is to repurpose what you've already got. You most likely own something that you can incorporate into that design plan. So if you've got leftover paint maybe from an old project or accent pieces that you can refresh, maybe you can give your couch a new life by reupholstering it instead of buying a new one. This kind of upcycling can definitely save you some money. So think about those as well when you're planning that budget and thinking about what you actually need to get.
Now, for new decorating, you want to live in your home before making major changes. Let me tell you a story about some friends of mine that moved into their first home. And the very first thing they did, they tore up all the carpet in all the rooms. They tore out all the wallpaper. They basically, from a decorating perspective, pretty much gutted the whole place. And guess what? It sat like that for months and months and months. You don't want to do that. We think it's a good idea to wait at least 2 or 3 months before you make any kind of significant purchase. And here's why. Now, one of two things are going to happen. You're either going to get used to the old decor, shift some of your existing furnishing around and discover maybe it's not so bad, or the desire to decorate is going to increase and you'll take on the project anyway. But by waiting, you'll have a much better idea of what you want to spend money on and how to accomplish all of your decorating dreams.
Gail in St. Simons Island, Georgia, you've got the Money Pit. How can we help you today? Something about acorns?
We've just moved into a new house, and we have a lovely concrete drive that is underneath a lot of live oak trees that are now dropping all their nuts. And the acorns are putting stains all over my concrete. I'm wondering if I should stain this concrete brown.
Well, listen, I think those beautiful oak trees are part of the beauty of living on St. Simons Island, which is a gorgeous place. Now, I can sympathize with your thought that, hey, why don't I just restain the driveway to match the color of the acorn stains? That is one way to do it for sure. But then again, that stain is going to fade over time, and, they'll have stains and a driveway that has to be stained at the same time. So what I would suggest is that you just take on the maintenance that this is going to require. It's not difficult. You just need some oxygenated bleach, or you could mix up your own bleach I would do about maybe like a cup of bleach to about a gallon of water, pretty strong bleach solution. And then when you will put that down, you let it sit for a while, and then you can scrub it off with like a floor brush. You will find that those stains will come up if you stay on top of that way. I would be cautious about using a pressure washer. It's always an option. But if you want to put down a solution first of the bleach and then pressure wash it, you could do that, but do not use too much pressure, because concrete, as hard as we all think it is, it's like butter to a pressure washer, and a pressure washer will actually wear away the surface of it, and you'll see indentations from where you ran the pressure washer over it. But it's a pretty common problem. You're just going to have to stay on top of it by using a cleaner. So like I said, oxygenated bleach. There are driveway cleaning products that are formulated for this. They're very similar to the deck and house cleaning products that are simulated for these sorts of stains. And if you stay on top of it, it won't be terribly bad.
All right, looking to cozy up, we've got Paul in Massachusetts on the line who wants to add some sort of fireplace or wood-burning stove. What's going on?
The chimney goes up in the center of the house. Now, this could either be the wood or a gas-burning stove.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with heating the house. It's more of an added feature.
The ambiance factor.
Kind of a visual feature.
Got it, yeah. All right, so the chimney that you have going up through the center of the house now, that is serving only the heating system? Is there anything else? So there's one flue inside of it?
Just one flue, yes.
Okay.
It's actually a chimney. There's no flue.
Okay, so you can't mix if it's wood burning, you can't use that chimney anyway, okay?
No.
That's not possible. What you would have to do, and probably in both cases, is you would put in a triple-walled metal vent pipe. Whether it was wood burning or natural gas, you would put a vent pipe in. You may choose to run that parallel with the chimney only because you already have sort of the space knocked out for it or chased there, even if you have to extend the box, and probably run it up parallel to that structure all the way up and out the roof. The other option is if you wanted to mount it on an exterior wall, it's possible to direct vent in some circumstances as well.
I imagine the second option is also invasive. It's probably just punching up and then, punching a hole in the wall, putting up a heat pipe, and then running a certain height. That's
correct. Yeah, it's correct. And it has to clear the roof. There's a rule for how far above a roof a vent has to be, and we call it the 210 rule, which basically means if you go from the top of the vent pipe down 2 feet, it has to be more than 10 feet from any portion of the roof. So if you were to sort of tie a string around it there and circle it around, you couldn't touch your roof.
Okay.
Those are your options. I hesitate to tell you this, but there is a type of gas fireplace that's not vented, but I don't recommend it. There are gas fireplaces that are high efficiency and vent into the house, but I really don't like it because I feel like it puts in a lot of moisture into the house, and I feel like it's a potential carbon monoxide risk unless it's operating perfectly. So I would not do that. But if you had the space, I think the nicest thing just for the charm of it, in my mind, is a wood-burning zero-clearance fireplace. It's called zero clearance because it can go against a combustible surface with no space. So it takes the least amount of space. You still need to have a hearth in front of it and so on, but you could basically insert it into the exterior wall. So wood-burning fireplace, but the term is zero clearance, like zero-clearance. So if you go to a supplier or you Google that, zero clearance wood-burning fireplaces, you'll see a wide variety of models and installation methods, from some that are sort of circular, designed to go as an art piece right in the middle of your house, all the way to the ones that are mounted in other various spaces throughout, even corner mount versions.
Perfect. I really appreciate it.
All right, Paul, good luck with that project. Thanks so much for calling the Money Pit.
And I look forward to Sunday morning listening to you again.
All right, thank you so much, sir.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest-lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
Heading over to Ohio, we've got Amy on the line who wants to talk about some insulation. How can we help you?
My house is 202 years old.
Wow. And we thought we had old houses, Leslie.
That's an old house.
Yeah, it's, let me tell you, your show, Money Pit, basically describes our house. We have a third-floor attic, which is not your traditional attic. I mean, it's huge. It covers the whole second floor. Mm-hmm. It's about 30 by 40. All you can see are the original hand-hewn, trees, beams.
Yep.
There is floor up there, but I want to insulate. I don't want to cover up the beams, but I do want to put some insulation in between them,
mm-hmm.
and then some sort of something that goes with it, but not the entire depth of the beam, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Are we talking about an improvement here solely for energy efficiency, or is this third floor attic a finished space or a space that you want to finish?
Both, yes. I want it more energy efficient. Our electric bills at the moment are about $1,000 to $1,200 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Energy efficiency wasn't so important 200 years ago.
No, there's no insulation. It's entirely brick. It's 18 inches thick of brick all the way around, so there's no insulation anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So look, I will first tell you that insulating a space like this is challenging. And the reason it's challenging is because the depth of those rafters, which is where you're talking about putting the insulation, is limited. And that means you have a limited amount of space that you can use for insulation. It also presents challenges for ventilation, because let's just say, for argument's sake, that you have a beam that is, I'm going to be optimistic here, and it's probably less than this, but let's say it's a 10-inch deep beam, right? Well, you can only put 8 inches of insulation in there. It would have to be flush with the inside edge of the beam, and then you have to leave the 2 inches behind it, that gap, for ventilation, and then you have to add vents to make sure you have airflow back there. It's a challenge. Plus, in an attic, normally you would want to have, if we're talking about fiberglass, you would want to have 15 or 20 inches to really keep the heat in. So that's what it makes it really difficult. Now, I will tell you another option, which you may or may not like, is I'm going to tell you you're going to cover these beams. But if you want to insulate this space, there's one thing that will work brilliantly, and that is spray foam insulation. The reason you can use spray foam insulation is because it's incredibly efficient per inch. It gives you more resistance to heat loss for every insulation than fiberglass does. In my house, for example, which is a youngster at 130 years old, I did spray foam insulation in my attic, and albeit it's not a living space, but we insulated between the rafters and slightly over the rafters because we wanted even another inch or two of insulation. And the temperature in that attic, Amy, does not change year round. It is like perfectly, and there's no heating or cooling up there. It just stays at ambient temperature, and it's very, very comfortable. It's just an incredibly powerful product because it not only insulates but it seals. So it seals all the gaps that are just common to older homes. So if you really want to, cut back on that heating bill, that's kind of what you're looking at. I guess the other thing that you could think about doing is adding insulation to that floor. And this would help.
That's what I'm currently doing, yes.
Yeah, the lower sections of your house would become more efficient as a result of that. The attic, how is the attic heated now? You said you have a high electric bill. Is it electric heat, or is it some other heating system?
There isn't any heat or air cooling or air conditioning up there now.
And, well, then what are you going to put up there if you want to make it a living space? How are you going to make it comfortable?
I will have to add something. I was hoping maybe it would be tolerable year-round. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you could put a split ductless unit in. That's like a mini heat pump that would provide heating and cooling. Do you have hot water heat throughout the rest of the house? What's the rest of the heating system?
It's gas, natural gas.
But what is it? Radiators or forced hot air?
Oh, forced hot air.
Okay. Well, you probably would not be able to extend that. It's probably pretty tapped out now. So you really would have to have a separate zone up there. And given that, probably using a split ductless heat pump, which is still going to be expensive. But look, if these older homes, we love them. They're beautiful, but they are challenging in some respects when you want to finish areas like this. And if you love the look of those beams, and you want to keep them, then insulation does not play well with that decor. Leslie, I don't think we've ever seen an attractive insulation product from a decor perspective.
No, it's really not something that you're meant to look at. It does a great great job and you feel comfortable, but I wouldn't want to look at it all the time.
Would it be beneficial in any way to put even a couple inches of the spray foam on, the part of the roof that you can see, the plywood, but still save the beams, not go that far out?
Yeah, you may be able to pick up some on that. I might, just have a conversation with some spray foam providers and, find those that are very experienced and have a good track record, not the person that, that does other types of insulation and subs out to a spray foam company. You want somebody who's a real pro, because there's definitely points for technique and neatness when you use this product. When we did our house, we not only did the attic space, but we did the crawl spaces and the box beams. And I had a section of my basement that had a computer network in it, and these guys were neat as a pin. And man, what a difference it made by using that. So you would pick up some insulation, and you would definitely pick up a reduction in the drafts that are up there. So that's an option.
Wonderful.
It's just kind of a shame to have somebody there, and the expenses, the mobilization of having a spray foam contractor and come out and then just say, but only put a couple inches in, not filling it up. It's because you're so close to having a really, really well insulated home, and you're just pulling them back because of the decor concerns. But that's your right to do. It's a balancing act against the expense of those electric bills,
right,
as you've learned.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you for your suggestions.
So are you working from home a lot these days, and you're finding out that those outside noises are making it hard to focus during the day, or maybe even just fall asleep at night? It could be traffic noise. It could be the train, a noisy neighbor, loud plumbing. Whatever it is, we've got some ideas to help you get back your peace and quiet. Now, your solution is going to depend on whether you live in a house, a townhouse, an apartment, and certainly the options for new homes are easier to plan as part of the construction. But there are a lot of options for existing homes and even renters.
Yeah, so let's talk about a few. So if you're planning a new home, consider the type of insulation that's being used. Most homes use fiberglass insulation, but it's not a great sound deadener. A better option is thermofiber, which is a product that's made from superheated rocks. It's really dense. It's very sound resistant. It's fire resistant. It's made by Owens Corning, and it's really a good choice for people that are sound sensitive. Now, for existing homes or retrofits, you might want to think about using blown-in cellulose insulation. Other ways to quiet spaces, if you've got just a room or two that you want to be particularly quiet in, you can add another layer of drywall, basically making it a double layer of drywall. That double layer that's separated by something called green glue, which comes in a caulk gun, is basically a sound deadening assembly that is really effective without spending a lot of money. Now, speaking of drywall, there's also a special type of drywall that is designed to reduce sound. It's made by different companies. It has different brands. I think one of them is called Quiet Rock. And basically, it's designed to replace the half-inch drywall that's typical with the sound deadening drywall, and that sort of absorbs the sound. Now, you could also consider acoustic ceilings. Many are designed to reduce sound. If you want to sort out the best, there are some ratings to look at. Look at the NRC, which is the noise reduction coefficient, and the CAC, which is the ceiling attenuation class. The NRC tells you how much sound a ceiling panel is going to absorb within a room, and the CAC rates how much sound travels from there to the adjacent rooms, which is really where you're trying to end up.
Yeah. Now, if you're a renter, or maybe those that just don't want to take on a construction project, there are lots of less disruptive things that you can do to reduce the level of noise both inside and outside. So the more stuff they actually have in your room, the better it is for sound absorption. If you've got drapes on a window, that really does look nice. But if you add a heavy drape, maybe a velvet-looking fabric-y curtain to the wall, that's going to absorb a lot of the sound while giving that wall sort of an elegant and classical feel. So you don't just have to stick to the windows. You can actually do an entire wall, which kind of dresses up the space. Now, leather furniture, people really like it, but besides being super cold when you first sit down and maybe your butt sticking to it in the hot summer months, it's not the best for sound because it kind of creates an echo chamber with all of that smooth surface out there. So definitely, if you do have leather furniture, put a throw blanket on, add some pillows, do anything that can help sort of stop those sound waves rather than helping them bounce right off of it.
So lots and lots of ways to reduce sound and quiet the rooms in your home and protect them from outside noise.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the new generative AI assistant from AWS. Many tasks can make business slow, like wading through mud. Help! Luckily, there's a faster, easier, less messy choice. Amazon Q can securely understand your business data to help you streamline tasks, like summarizing quarterly results or doing complex analyses in no time. Q got this. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Well, chopping and moving firewood is hard work. Hard work, by the way, that can be easily undone all too simply if you don't store that wood properly before you toss it into the fireplace. Here's what you need to know.
Yeah, the key here, guys, is keeping it dry. When the firewood gets wet, that wood's not going to burn properly. It's going to put out steam. It's going to smoke, and it's not going to actually heat the space.
Now, it's always best to store that firewood off the ground by stacking the wood on a base or a rack. But don't lean that pile against the side of your house because moisture from the wood can damage the siding and it can attract termites to your home or your deck.
Yeah, you also, when stacking that firewood, you want to pack it snugly, but be sure to leave enough airflow to minimize the risk of mold and mildew. Don't stack it higher than 4 feet unless you have side supports.
And even if you do have side supports, you want to keep the top of the pile level to avoid having it collapse and fail because it's really heavy. Now, lastly, keep that firewood stored outdoors under a waterproof cover so it stays dry and gets that blaze burning quickly.
Doug in Rhode Island's on the line with a flooring question. Tell us about your project.
Yeah, I'm considering pulling out some carpeting and putting in a floating floor, but I'm looking for a good quality, something that would have a decent thickness, and also the possibility to be refinished need be in 10 years or whatever. Is there something like that?
Well, with the floating floor, I mean, I think if you're looking for something that has the potential to be refinished, you're going to want to look at an engineered hardwood because that's going to assemble the same way that a laminate would. And it's also going to be structurally stable if you're looking for flooring to go in a space maybe below grade or in a room that might have a higher moisture content. But the difference between a laminate, which you cannot refinish, and an engineered hardwood is an engineered hardwood is going to be a base of a plywood. So you're going to have the opposing layers of the grain so that it'll be structurally stable. And then the topmost layer is the actual hardwood. And so you're able to resand it, depending on the manufacturer, couple of times, up to 5 times. It really depends on which one and the thickness of that top layer. And that will give you the opportunity to do so when and if you need it down the line.
Yeah, is there a particular name that you'd recommend? Or?
Yeah, take a look at the products that are available at Lumber Liquidators. They have a very good selection in all lines of durability as well.
Okay, great. Listen, I appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Good luck. Thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT.
Jim in Ohio wrote into Team Money Pit saying, my attic currently has blown-in fiberglass insulation about 5 to 6 inches deep and is ventilated with soffit vents and an attic fan. I would like to remove the fiberglass insulation and replace it with spray foam. Is it okay to apply spray and foam in the ceiling joists? And if so, does any of the wiring or ductwork or electrical boxes have to be protected from the foam?
Okay, so first of all, when you use spray foam insulation inside your attic, you no longer need to have ventilation. So with all the vents that you have there, you're going to want to remove and seal those. You can actually spray the spray foam on the underside of the roof rafters. You can cover the wires and anything else that's in that space. I did this project in my house. I just spent a few hours going through the attic and tightening up any loose wires, putting a few new nails in to keep them snug to the beams before we had the foam sprayed on. And what I found was when I'm all done was that attic now is the same temperature as maybe the most of the house. It doesn't really get very cold anymore. Still have plenty of storage space up there. It doesn't really take that much space. And by the way, there's no reason to remove the fiberglass insulation that's already in that attic floor. It's not hurting. It's not helping. So just leave it right where it sits and enjoy that space. You're going to find your spray foam insulation to be extremely effective. In fact, I saw my bills go down significantly the first winter after we added it.
All right, that's good. Let's talk to Susan in Michigan, who wrote in saying, I have a ranch house on a cement slab, but the heating ducts are under the house. We closed them off with cement and installed electric baseboard heat instead, but the ducts leaked water. Now, the question here is, should drainage be added to the house, or does it matter now that the ducts are sealed off?
So I wonder why she sealed these off if she had an in-slab, heating distribution system. But whatever the reason, at this point, I would focus on reducing the water that's getting into that slab and not think about sealing things off, because you really are not going to be able to stop the water that really wants to get in. The more important question is, why is that water forming now? And the reason is most likely the same reason that we talk a lot on the show about floods in crawl spaces and floods in basements, and that is the condition of the gutter system and also the grading at the foundation perimeter. Starting with the gutters, they need to be clean. They need to be free-flowing. The downspouts need to be extended at least 4 to 6 feet from the house, because we're dealing with a water problem here. You also want to make sure you have enough spouts. You want one spout for every 400 to 600 square feet of roof surface. That's real important so that the roof gutters don't get overwhelmed. Now, in addition to the gutter system, taking a look at the angle of the soil around the house. If it's flat, if it's sloped in towards the building, if it's really mulchy or has like a ton of topsoil around and that water is just landing and soaking in. What happens with a slab is when the water gets around it, it draws that moisture up through the concrete, and that's why you're seeing evidence of leakage into those ducts. But if you avoid having that water collect by improving the grading, improving the drainage, and getting those ducts clean and extended, you're not going to have any water in those ducts. So that's the solution. Stop the water. Don't worry about the ducts.
All right, Susan, I hope that it helps you out. And good luck, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday.
Happy holidays, everybody. This is the Money Pit Home Improvement Show, on air and online at moneypit.com. We are so happy that you've joined us for today's show. We've got lots and lots more great stories to tell, great tips to offer you in the year ahead. We hope that you are enjoying this holiday season. Have a wonderful new year, and we'll talk with you soon. I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti.
Remember, you can do it yourself,
but you don't have to do it alone.
You live in a money pit.
In DC, it's not always easy to save. But with unlimited welcome from Verizon, saving on your phone bill's never been easier, even if you're on a single line. For a limited time, single lines start at just $50 a month when you bring your own phone, with autopay plus taxes and fees. That's a savings of $15 a month. And when you switch now, you can save on the things you love, like Netflix and Max, all on the most awarded 5G network. Now that's savings all of DC can agree on. There's never been a better time to switch to the network America relies on. But this offer won't last long. Visit your local Verizon store to switch and save big today. $180 BYOD promo credit and $360 local promo credit applied over 36 months. For new customers with one new line with your own 4G or 5G phone on unlimited welcome plan required. Additional terms apply. Autopay and paper-free billing required. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. $10 a month for each MyPlan perk. Additional terms and conditions apply per perk.
When you're part of a military family, you understand sacrifice and support. So at American Public University, we honor your dedication by extending our military tuition savings to your extended family. Parents, spouses, legal partners, siblings, and dependents all qualify for APU's preferred military rate of just $250 per credit hour for undergraduate and master's level programs. American Public University. Value for the whole family. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.